Hey there, guys, and before we start the episode, I'd like to go over a few things with you, if you don't mind. Hypnos is buy one, get one over at www.cnp.com, as well as having a 25% off code available for you. June 25 is a 25% off code, and you can use that to purchase the now back in stock Graham Reaper Kraken and Carnivorous Chocolate Kraken, which are, as I said before, back in stock. And we have hats. That's pretty much the newsletter, which, by the way, if you guys want to know about this stuff before the podcast comes out so that you can take advantage of these sales ASAP, you can go over to www.casandpain.com/subscribe to subscribe to our newsletter, which we encourage everybody to take advantage of because sometimes we launch secret sales. Now, with that being said, in this episode, we go over old school lifting, new school lifting. It kind of turned into a ramble, with usual fashion, when it comes to Jamie and I getting into this virtual little room that we have on Facebook Messenger. We go ahead and give each other a call, and we just ramble for about an hour. So, yeah, enjoy the show. It's a good one. Welcome to the newest Hatecast, and this time we go over old school versus new school lifting and training and all that stuff. But first, we got something we need to say. So, what time is it, Jamie?
Oh, it's rant30.
All right, go ahead, man.
So we had that conversation recently about RPEs. I had about 8,000 fucking people send me RPE charts. Do you know what this RPE bullshit is?
I do.
Okay, so to anybody who doesn't understand, I'm looking at this chart and reading it to you. An RPE of 10 means maximal effort. And I'll get into my problem with that in a second. RPE of 9.5 is you could maybe do one more rep. 9 is definitely do one more rep. 8.5 is maybe do 2 more reps. Then 8 is definitely 2 more reps, maybe 3 more reps, definitely. All right, number 1. If you're training at less than an RPE of 8, you need to take all your lifting gear, put it in the nearest waste receptacle, punch yourself in the face for wasting your own fucking time, punch yourself in the face again for wasting my time if you've ever messaged me about training, and take up any other fucking hobby. Any other hobby.
Also, what the fuck is with the 0.5? What the fuck is that?
Well, let me just say, there is never a time in my life that I know for a fact that it was maximal effort unless I failed on my second rep.
You know, it's those fucking spreadsheet motherfuckers that are sitting there like, oh, I had an RPE of 8.75369, and it felt amazing. It's like, what the fuck?
Feels like you want to go fuck yourself is what it feels like, because nobody wants to hear that shit. And you know what? I have seen, every time I fucking seen RPE on Instagram, I did blah, blah, blah with an RPE of 7. What the fuck? Is the speed fairly quick like an easy opener? Well, let me just say for the record, an easy opener should be something you can do for 2 reps, which is already an RPE of 8.5 or 8. So what the fuck is anybody doing a 7 for? What is happening in the world? Why even go to the gym?
Also, why are people afraid of being uncomfortable? Like, what the fuck is that about? I mean, okay, you have an RPE of 7 or 7.5 or 7 point what the fuck ever. Like, first of all, stop the point shit. That's
and don't post that shit on the internet because nobody fucking cares. You're a pussy. Let's all deal with it. You should deal with it.
Unless your RPE of 8.5 is like 900 for deadlifts, that's you can go ahead and post that. We'll forgive you, but otherwise, fuck off. You're not Dan Green.
No, I'm saying, like, you were fine with an 8. Yeah, you could definitely do 2 more reps, fine. Like, I'm a big fan of doing, like, because, like a rational person, instead of doing, I would just use rep max shit. So, like, I use my 5 rep max for sets of 3, for instance.
Right.
But
so you would take the sane approach.
Yeah, the irrational approach. But I've never in my life used a 10 rep max for a set of 3. Like, what the fuck is that? Why? Why would you do that? I was doing speed sets. Then don't fucking talk about it on the internet. Nobody gives a shit. God damn. Like, if you did something impressive, fine, talk about it. But nobody gives a fuck about any of that bullshit. And
hey,
also, man, I had a kid send me a goddamn form check video with 135 pounds in the squat.
Oh, God. Why?
What the fuck goes through somebody's head that 135 pounds, their effort with that is going to look the same as anything more than that? Like, I don't know what his max was. But what the fuck is the point of 135? Well, should I deload? No, don't fucking deload. You're practically a cripple as it is. Like, if your squat is so low, you're showing me a form check with 135, you're nearly in a wheelchair. You might want to go see a specialist about some polio.
Can he get into the wheelchair, and how many RPE would that be?
I'm sure it's an RPE of 10. Just to get out of bed, it's an RPE of 10. 135 fucking form check. My God. And then he said butt wink to me. I almost had a fucking stroke. I was in the middle of the gym. I'm sweating my dick off. I'm busting my ass. And this guy goes, how do I cure butt wink? I was like, how about you not be such a faggot? Like, don't ask me stupid questions. Are you just trolling me? I'm in the gym. And he was like, what do you mean am I trolling you? And I was like, why would you say butt wink to me? Like, what planet are we on?
I don't know, man. Where I come from.
I was like, you're tucking your ass because you're going too fucking low in the squat. And you were asking me. And you're asking me about, like, is your depth all right? You don't need to fucking drag your asshole in the ground. What is the point of this?
That's another thing that I've noticed, like, the ass to grass, like, sitting down so far in the hole that you completely lose tightness is a thing now.
But they don't bounce out of the hole like Olympic weightlifters do. They're all proud of themselves for their ATG squat that is slower than molasses in fucking January. That is not how it's done. Either you bounce out of the hole or you don't squat like that. The end.
Yeah.
God damn. I'm sweating. I'm sweating. It's hot. God damn, it's hot. Oh, this whole fucking weekend. My girl was like, yeah, I think we ought to just, like, hole up in the bedroom and cuddle and, like, fuck. And I was like, we will not be touching each other. It is so hot. Like, I will have the AC blasting on me, and I'll allow you to look at me from across the room, provided there are no sheets touching me, and, like, I have at least 2 fans. Fucking touching when it's this hot outside is insane.
Well, see, since I lost weight, I'm like a snake, so I'm pretty much cold all the time for some reason. And that's why I'm drinking bone broth in 90-degree weather.
That doesn't even make sense. Your metabolism should be fast enough that
it's common with weight loss. People who have extreme weight loss.
Oh yeah, your metabolism's slowed.
Well, it's not only that. It's like you remove this layer of, like, padding. It's kind of fucked up. You have, if you have that on, basically this blanket on top of you for more than a year, you shed down and it just never feels the same. Which is nice, by the way, because I used to be one of those people that was outside in the winter with my shorts on and, like, a tank top and just, like, as much skin as I could show in the winter because I was just so, like, it was an inferno under my skin.
That's really that is a completely a perception thing. It's a mind. You're mind fucked because what's actually happening is like when you're lean, you are actually a fucking furnace, and it's easier for your body to distribute heat. And so you should be warmer in the cold than a fat person because they have terrible circulation, and they're about to lose their feet to diabetes. To
be fair, yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Who knows? You're a wacky guy.
I am a wacky guy. I'm drinking coffee too, so.
Yeah, so we're going to be at the swim. Well, as my Yules, the guy head coach, he refers to it as the water park, but because my gym has 2 water slides. But that is where we'll be. We will be at the pool, and I'll just be getting like 20-minute workouts in throughout the day, and then jumping in the pool.
Just pretty much marinating in the water there, right?
Yep, just stewing in it.
Making your own human steroids.
Yes.
So, but with that being said, I'm kind of pissed off today.
There it is. I was looking for it. I was waiting.
Oh my god.
I'm
I'm kind of pissed off today because I've been unconsciously eating kind of vegetarian. I know you're gonna kill me, but just convenience. It'll be fine. Yeah, just convenience. I've been like downing protein powder and cereal. I'm ready for goddamn Texas Steakhouse tonight, Texas Roadhouse.
Oh god, those rolls, those rolls, buddy. That fucking cinnamon sugar butter is the greatest thing that mankind has produced.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
God.
So that's what we're doing tonight. So how's your training going? Just to update the people.
Killing it. You know, my bench has always been. I mean, when I first started lifting, my bench was kind of my that was my pet lift, and so it was really good. And as the years went on, my bench stalled, and I just lost interest in it, and I never really applied myself. But after these Chuck Sipes articles, like after writing about 4 people in a row who had 500-pound benches at a time when they were benching on these rickety ass like home built things where people were handing them the barbell and shit, I was just like, there's no excuses. So I started. I adopted Chuck Sipes, his tricep cheat exercises that I wrote about.
Yeah.
And my bench is flying up. So.
Yeah. Just so people are, for the people unaware, what are those exercises, by the way?
They're a little hard to describe. If you go to either chaosandpain.com or chaosandpain.blogspot.com, one of the last couple articles is about Chuck Sipes, and there'll be a full explanation and a drawing of the like it's an old magazine drawing of how you do it. But so there's 2 different ways to do both of the exercises. What I've been doing for the one, the way Pat Casey did it and then the way Bill West did it were 2 different ways. Pat Casey and Bill West were both big benchers back in the day. Pat Casey was the first guy to bench 600. He did a full pullover off the ground, laying perpendicular to the bench. And then, so he did it was like a pullover to sort of, he uses lats as like an explosive movement to get the bar off the ground, and then finish it as a tricep extension, as a skull crusher. And then lower it back to the ground. So he'd do them that way. Bill West did it so that he was laying on the bench, you know, normally on the bench. The barbell was on the bench just above his head. So he'd use his lats to yank it to get it going and do a tricep extension that way. And then after that, he would just bang the barbell off the bench and get a little bounce. And so they were both doing a cheat skull crusher without actually smashing their skull to bits. And so I've been using the Bill West method of that. And then after that, take the incline bench over into the rack, set the pins in the rack so it's just like an inch or 2 above your forehead, and then set the bar so it's on it, so it's just above and behind your head, and do incline skull crushers off that. And holy shit, my bench is like immediately moving. And then I do 1 to 2 other days of just like light, like repping out, doing tricep pushdowns and stuff like that with a rope.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is not going to sound impressive to anybody, but I think my all-time best close grip, like when I had a 415 bench with like no spot, I just took it out of the rack and hit it myself.
Yeah.
I think I was doing sets of 3 or 4 with 315 on close grip for like 10 sets of 3 to 4. Wow. And now I'm doing like maybe 5 sets of 5 with 325, and then another 5 sets of 3 to 4 with 325. So I know my bench is at least 415 again.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, those are some pretty fucking good numbers for close grip bench. I know a lot of people, for some reason, struggle with close grip bench. So,
my close grip bench is pretty damn close to my. I mean, it's within 10 pounds of my regular bench as a general rule.
See, I should start doing them again. I've been falling in love with French presses. So all over again.
I've been doing those light. like when I go to pump up before going out to the gym on Saturday, I'll do those. I use the cambered bar on the previous 2 exercises I was talking about. Yeah. He stressed adamantly, like, don't be a faggot, use the straight bar. And like I use the cambered bar for French presses, even though I'm sure that makes Chuck Sipes roll in his grave. But I use the cambered bar for that, and then I just take them up and over and flip my grip to the wider thing and do reverse curls. So I get a huge fucking pump on my arms doing that.
Now that's an arm day. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and I just go back and forth. Like I'll take I'll do both those back to back and take like 30 seconds and then do them back to back, and I'll do like 20 sets of that and then walk out to the fucking pool with just like veins dripping off my arms and everybody just looking at the ground. Well, except for the guys who are like secretly beating their dicks, but the girls are all just looking at the ground.
Yeah, they're asking you about butt wink.
Yeah. Yeah, they're really interested in butt wink at that point.
Yeah, you know what? The first time I heard the term butt wink, I laughed a little bit because that just sounds insane. Okay, like you've got to understand, I'm one of the dirtiest people alive, like up in my head, and butt wink is just like, for some dudes that's a come on. So, but anyway, I don't exactly know where I was going with that. I've had way too much caffeine today.
Fine. Because I'm so overheated, I've been actually trying to like slow it down on the stimulants. Although one thing I did find today in researching for aggro, for anybody who's going to be playing like a first-person shooter this weekend, and you're gonna crank your AC, don't. Because I was trying to find new and inventive ways to improve your reaction time. Actually, the hotter you are, the faster your reactions are. And I mean,
absolutely.
It's almost an exponential rise. Like with every degree of body temperature, your reaction time lowers dramatically. So just sweat your dick off and fucking have at it. Because those, like, a lot of you guys won't remember, but back in the day when we used to be like down the boardwalk, like we could fucking like kill some shit at Asteroids, and we would suck later on that year, and like when it was nice and cool, like playing it in the pizza shop or whatever. So.
Oh yeah. Man, you know what? I think there was a study. I'll have to find it on some sort of sports with that. I don't know if it was American football or if it was boxing, but I seem to remember something about heat playing a role in reaction time. I don't know. That's interesting. I'll have to look that up. If I find it, I'll link it.
I found it earlier today. I can hunt it back down.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, anything that can improve your reaction time to any degree is always like my jam. Because I don't know, man. I'm up to 256 now, by the way, and my reaction time, or I'm just getting slower just because I'm packing on weight. And I know that's normal, blah, 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 right? But at the same time, like, I love being quick, athletic, fucking strong, fucking lean, fucking all the things. I want to be all the things, right? And so I'll be heating myself up with this bone broth here to increase my reaction time.
Nice.
And yeah. Some other methods that I have, like I'm a huge fan of spicy food too. I this week aside, I've been having to just down like cereal and stuff that's quick because we need to be out of the apartment.
Wow, you're back with the cereal again.
I know. It's
always busy with the cereal.
It would make If It Fit Your Macros crowd very happy. It would, but I've been sneaking in some almonds. So
some what?
Almonds.
You said it very strangely the first time.
Man, let me tell you something. Allergies.
That's what it is?
Yeah. Not me fucking up in speech at all again. No, not that at all. No.
Have you seen that commercial where it's 2 guys riding in the car and the one guy's saying that he ate a bunch of almonds, and the guy who's driving is like, what? He's like, almonds. You don't like almonds? And he's like, I like almonds. The guy's like, that's what I said, almonds. And the guy's driving, and he just dives out of the fucking car. That's me.
Oh, God. But, so there is one thing that I wanted to ask you before we start getting into the real topic here.
Okay. Nope,
I watched a YouTube video.
Oh, boy.
About you. And
okay.
Calm down, okay? It was positive. It was positive, okay. But I think somebody misquoted you or they got your methodology wrong or something like that, right? Because I try and keep up with what people are saying and stuff like that, right? Just because that's part of everything and we can react to it, which is make good content for you guys. So this individual said that when you were powerlifting, you were a fan of doing at least one squat variation, some sort of accessory that would help your bench and your deadlift. Is that correct? Like every day? No. Okay.
No.
Okay. Could you clarify what your thoughts are on that, though?
Yeah, I never trained. I mean, there were times that I did, because I said that I would train some kind of shoulder variation every day for a while. I never tried it with squats because that just is a recipe for disaster with knotting and things like that. I mean, I may have tried it at one point, but I've never done any such thing with deadlift because my mid-back and upper back would cramp up too much. I, as a general rule, would do like two major pulling movements a week that were never deadlift. I never deadlift ever in the gym. I used to. I don't anymore. My deadlift has been so much better for it. So it was usually I do high pulls and Pendlay rows one day, and then do like ultra heavy rack pull to shrugs and maybe like some pull-ups or something the other day. Okay. And then I would I never reverse grip benched in the gym. I only use that in competition. Yeah, I'm just the asshole who never trained the lifts. But I generally would do like close grips and then a variety of tricep work. Like now I'm doing a lot of I do a lot of like hammer strength like machine presses after I get done on the bench. I've been doing a lot of floor presses, lockouts. I've added in a ton of chest work. And then the squat thing, usually I'd only squat once a week, and I would do generally a combination of jump squats and partials in the day. I almost never did. I almost never did full squats. I would squat from the pins like an Anderson squat a lot, but yeah, that was it.
So basically, I mean, some of the things that you're talking about is some of the things that I'm actually implementing into my training now, which is, if you're weak in the squat, bench, or deadlift, usually it has to do with the muscles involved. So you do something to strengthen those muscles, and of course your deadlift, squat, bench will improve, right?
Right. Uh-huh.
Okay. So because I recently started doing some partials on squats. I started doing hack squat. I started doing Romanian deadlifts just because I like them. I'm a little bit taller, so they feel really good. When I get down to the bottom portion, I get that nasty stretch in my hamstring.
Okay.
So, I mean, and I hit Romanian deadlifts 315 for 6. So, very happy about that. My lower back thanks me. So, but I had wondered if he had misquoted you or something like that. I'll tell you the name of the YouTuber after this because I don't want to give him too much exposure.
Okay.
But, he said something about you having some sort of squat variation every day, deadlift variation every day, and bench press deadlift or bench press variation every day, and I thought that was false. So
no, I mean, it may be something I tried at some point, but I mean, I've been training for like 26 years, so I mean, I've tried a little bit of everything.
So as long as I've been alive,
yeah,
pretty much. Okay, but it's one of those things where I was just wondering. That's all. So just so we can clarify that.
The only thing that I've ever found that was and it's more of a mass thing than a strength thing, but shoulders seem to be able to take a hell of a pounding. Your arms can too. I've never really tried to train arms every day, but it's on my list of things to do this summer. But yeah, there were times where I would do like a week to 14 days of doing some variation of overhead pressing every day. So whether it be like low rep Klokovs, high rep Klokovs, military press, push press, behind the neck push press, yes. Yeah, all kinds of shit. Like just trying a little bit of everything, and that made my shoulder like capped out nice. Like I've got much wider shoulders as a result. But
bolder shoulders.
Yep.
Yeah. I completely agree. And on the arms training everyday thing, I mean, what people don't realize is, your bicep can recover pretty well from like 4 to 5 times a week training. It's not that difficult.
And it's, all these people bag on all those, the beach muscle guys.
Yeah.
Well, all they do is fucking bench and arms. And you know what? They have the best. Yeah, they have a great bench and they have great arms. And, speaking of that, one thing that I was discussing with Wayne the other day was when Wayne and I met, we were training at this 24-hour gym in Birmingham.
Right.
That was, it was basically just like your everyman gym. It had some big guys in there. It had some like bodybuilders in there. It had, I was in there. That's where I broke my world record. I was training in there. And there were at least two people in there who could bench 500 on any given day. And when I say bench 500, I mean they took it out of the rack themselves and easily benched 500. And
no spotter.
Yeah, well, I mean, they would spot each other a lot of times, but they usually just wanted to take it out of the rack themselves. I couldn't tell you why. But one thing I noticed when I was watching them bench, that every guy I'd ever seen who could bench 500 never locked out their reps. When they were doing rep work, they would do half to 3/4 reps all the time.
And have at least soft elbows.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, these weren't even soft elbows. It was half to 3/4 reps. And yeah, Wayne's the same way. Wayne's got a great bench, and that's my bench has really been moving since I started doing that, because you get a hell of a lot of more time under a heavier weight doing that. So all these people that want to like train and like do competition lifts all the time in the gym, I mean, you do whatever you want, but there's nobody giving you lights in the gym, and nobody gives a rat's ass. And if anybody has anything to say about it, be like, well, you know what? Fucking outlift me and maybe talk some shit. Otherwise, you gotta kick bricks.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of brings us into the topic there. So, a lot of the old school guys would train in order to beat themselves in the gym, right? Not really worrying about Instagram or not really worrying about... Of course, you'd have the guys that you would go to the gym with, like, haha, I bench 500. Well, I bench 505. Fuck you. It's like, fuck you. I'm going to bench 410 or 510. You'd have that sort of rivalry going on, but it was different, And something that they did also is, they put a lot more importance on variations. I don't seriously think any guys like the old school lifters who when they got a big squat or they got a big bench or they got a big deadlift, didn't just do those alone, right? They all had some variation in there. So, and, I mean, old school was great because they had some of the best physiques, in my opinion, anyway, right? They were some of the strongest, most tough as nails guys. But is there anything that we can learn from the old school that you would kind of want to express to the younger generation now? Well,
one thing I will say, and this is to all the guys out there who have gotten sucked into this minimalist training. Minimalist training, and I learned this recently, and it didn't, like, it kind of, a light went off in my head, but I didn't think to make mention of it to anybody. It all comes from the training of one or two powerlifters, one of whom is Mark Chalet. And they were big-time powerlifters back in the day, and at some point in their training, they shifted to just doing the major competition lifts. And people took that to mean that all you needed to do was the competition lifts. We're talking about guys who weighed like 240, solid muscle, who had been training for 15 years.
Oh, yeah, because what they do, we can all get away with, right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They already had all of their muscular imbalances fixed. They had been bodybuilding for years and years and years. And then, but were the strongest bodybuilders, and they started competing in in powerlifting as it came up. And they were able to refine their technique because a lot of them didn't train to do super heavy squats and benches all the time. It's just not something people did a lot. And, you look at those guys who did the 500-pound benches. None of them squatted. And they didn't deadlift. Even the guys who were big squatters didn't deadlift. It just was, and when they did deadlift, they were like, oh, this is easy, I guess, but I don't really see the point. So I think that one thing, like you were just saying, the variety that the guys had in the old school is really something that should be looked at. And they also did a lot of intensity multipliers that also need to be revisited because people seem to have forgotten altogether. Unless I'm mistaken, about drop sets, forced reps, strip sets,
giant sets,
giant sets, all that shit. Like, do people even do that anymore?
Drop sets I've seen quite a few times, but I know that everybody's so worried about overtraining and tearing muscles now. I think because it's more widespread. Now, I have noticed that there's been more dudes tearing muscles.
Do you know what that happened? Do you know what that's from?
I think it's a combination of a bunch of things. But what do you think it is? It's
steroids. Steroids weaken your tendons, and they strengthen your muscle simultaneously. And I'm speaking from a position where I've torn my tricep and my bicep, but the tricep tear was the cause of the bicep tear, and the tricep tear was because I had a huge bone spur in my elbow from wrestling, and it broke when I got into a car accident and tore off my tricep. And then I didn't have full extension on that arm because I didn't go to physical therapy.
Right.
And so my arm was slightly bent deadlifting, tore my bicep. But all these guys tearing pecs and all that shit, that's all just they started running gear when they were 18, and so they're blowing shit off left and right because their tendons are weak.
Well, your tendons don't exactly grow at the same rate as muscle tissue when you're on stuff.
No, that's why doing shit like lockouts is beneficial because it's going to strengthen those tendons.
Yeah. I will say that I have to agree with you there, and I also have to kind of mention the fact that everybody pretty much doesn't know how to lift before they get on stuff. And that's a sad thing, too. I mean, whatever happened to a foundation of strength before you decided to take it to the next level?
Whatever happened to, trying to see how big you could get without gear before you got on gear?
Yeah, but everybody's looking for a shortcut, man.
But it's just fucking crazy. But I was vindicated. I mentioned in the last podcast that our buddy, I thought he was like 40, and he was freaking out that his endocrine system wasn't going to recover. Well, and because his urologist said that it wasn't going to. He'd been running gear from 18 to 25.
Yeah.
And he thought he was just done for. Well, his endocrinologist just laughed and was like, urologists don't know shit about your endocrine system. You'll be fine. So we were both correct. And
little blown out of proportion, yeah.
Yeah, but so it's not the end of the earth. But the problem that I see, in addition to tearing shit if you're running gear too quickly, is you burn yourself out because you get all your noob gains and your gear gains at the same time, and then you're going to hit a wall and you're going to quit lifting. Which, that's fine with me. You stay the fuck out of my rack. But why not have, why not have some steady progression rather than just running into a brick wall and just throwing up your hands and saying, I hit my genetic limit, I can't go any further.
Bullshit.
Yep.
It all has to do, I think, and I know I'm kind of a hypocrite when it comes to this, but, the Instagram society, social media, there's a lot of pressure nowadays. And not so much, and I don't mean to be misogynistic or whatever, but not so much for women, because you can get a good booty and you have a million likes, but dudes have to have ripped abs all the time. They have to be super strong. They have to do all this stuff to appeal to the Instagram crowd, and then now apparently growing a beard and getting a powerlifting body. But
except none of those fucking pussies are strong. I don't recall. The only person I can recall seeing on Instagram who is impressively strong is that Steph chick.
Steffi Cohen.
Oh, that chick. My God. Yeah. Every time she opens her mailbox, it ought to just have nothing but FedEx packages with wedding proposals and rings in them fall out of that bitch.
Yeah, no shit. But, when it comes down to it, it's like their definition of strong, and everybody's definition of strong, really. Like, if you go to the gym and you can bench 225, you're generally stronger, and I know it's sad, but stronger than the general public now. Because of sedentary lifestyles, because of people just... I mean, for fuck's sake, I'm 27, and there are people that are 27 right now that are pretty much fucked, like from a physical standpoint, right? They're overweight by a lot. Their bones hurt. Their joints hurt. They have back problems. It's like, what the fuck did you do? Like, what did you do? Did you step out of the bed in an RP11? I don't know. What did you do to yourself?
I'm always watching Forged in Fire, and I'm wondering what the fuck is going on, because everybody's like, oh, my fucking back this, and I'm overheating and that, and it's like, you're a goddamn blacksmith. You're supposed to literally be biting 10-penny nails in half. Like, why are you...
It's not only that, but like even movies.
Like, settle down with a big ass beard if you're gonna be a blacksmith. I think it's hot enough without wrapping your face in wool.
Well, I think they have to do that because they might die from the heat, or they might die from like the sparks and shit. I haven't watched Forged in Fire, but I really need to.
Oh, that show's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking for a new one because I've been recently rewatching old stuff just because I'm starting to show my old man. My old man's coming out.
Yeah, so, definitely check that show out. That's great.
Yeah, I still have yet to see Bright too off Netflix. So.
Yeah, I mean it's not bad, but it's nothing that's going to change your life. It's worth seeing, but it's nothing crazy.
Yeah, but it's got Will Smith in it. Anyway, but
I have two different asides right now. I'm going to interrupt you with two different asides. The first one is, have you seen a picture of LL Cool J recently?
No.
He is
Jesus
like
Christ.
He's headed on to the Rock's size.
Oh my God.
He's
LL
fucking
Cool J,
huge.
seriously?
Yeah, he's huge. And then also, what do you think is a good strength standard for people? 345 was always the gold standard, and which I really think it's more of a 356 is a good gold standard, but 345 is legit, especially if you're 175 pounds. 345 is damn good. Once you get over 200 pounds, you should be in a 4.56 range. Once you're over 250, it should be 5.67 probably. But
well, that also depends on the person. I mean, there are people out there, I've seen them, that are just ungifted genetically, right? Either their bone structure, their femur length, their torso, but they're all excuses at the end of the day. I mean,
that's all it is. My mom was 4'11" and weighed 100 pounds. I have tiny bones.
Yeah, I can't really. I'm not the best person to talk about that because I don't know. I didn't start out strong, but I've gotten pretty strong. I have gigantic wrist. I have gigantic elbows. I have gigantic kneecaps.
Which is why I keep saying you should be in strongman, not in this bodybuilding bullshit.
Well, we'll see. I still haven't decided. I know it's getting in on the time where I need to decide, but god damn it.
You don't. What do you mean it's getting in on the? You can do both.
I can. Actually, I might. Man,
My
you got
God,
me
you are the
fucking
most
thinking
indecisive person on the planet.
Sir, you have no idea.
How the fuck do you and your wife figure out where to eat? Because she's a woman. She's always like, so what do you want to eat tonight? And she has a place in mind, and she's waiting for you to say the right place, but she's not sure that she wants to eat there. And then you have to, you have no idea what the fuck you want, and you're just wandering around like, do I want to put on pants or don't I want to put on pants?
No.
Put on shorts. Well, what about flip-flops? I heard one time you were allowed to wear shorts on an airplane, but then you weren't.
Oh, my God.
I'm going to Google something. And then you just wander off muttering yourself. Your wife, meanwhile, is screaming about how hungry she is, and she has a migraine. So how do you guys figure anything out?
Well, actually, we have an interesting dynamic. So she fucking makes the decisions like that, and I kind of sit back and like let it happen because I need that in my life. God damn it. I have so much fucking ADHD when it comes to, I can't fucking concentrate on anything, as you can see by the tangents we get in.
But that's literally what I just, the picture that I painted with my words is exactly what, it's correct.
Yeah. So, it'll be okay though. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
With that being said.
With that being said, yes.
So let's go back to training old school versus training new school, since we completely derailed.
I know. So something the old school guys, I think the new school. See, here's something that I will say about the new school.
Well, why don't we define what the difference between old school training and new school training is first?
Okay. Go ahead and have your definition thrown out there. I got to think on that one. I didn't really think that through.
I would say much more variety in the old school, much more frequency in the old school, so much higher volume, more weights, and far fewer machines.
And less fear of being uncomfortable. Everybody's so concentrated nowadays with the new school style of lifting. They don't want anything to feel uncomfortable when it comes to any facet of lifting, right? Like, they're okay with the muscle burn, but as soon as, for fuck's sake, if you get strong enough, you're going to get a strain, right? You're somebody out there is going to get a muscle strain, right? It just happens, right?
Yeah.
But if you're so afraid of fucking training that you sit there and say, well, I don't want to go too heavy because I might do this or might do that, like, you're holding yourself back. Don't be afraid to be uncomfortable. People are afraid of trying new variations too. People have this misconception that because smartphones are all around, that they're going to get recorded if they try anything new and they look stupid doing it. Well, fuck, isn't that half of the fun? Plus, I think that the intensity multipliers too are something that's lacking.
Yeah, definitely.
But I will say positive things are happening in the realm of football and other contact sports and stuff like that. People aren't afraid to pack on muscle anymore. It doesn't slow you down.
No, the shit that these guys are able to do. I had this. There's this guy. People will recognize him from the comments section of my blog, who is always posting this insane communist shit that I always just assumed was a troll, but he's actually an insane communist who was trying to convert me or something.
Oh no!
And he was arguing with me today from a position of knowing nothing whatsoever, that once you get too big, you have essentially crippled yourself, and that you're non-functional and some other bullshit. And I was like,
wrong.
You look at the NFL linemen who are 350 pounds and they run a 40 faster than you ever have. Or, like they're not immobile, and they're hyper strong, and they're quite fast. And I was like, look at Steve Merjanian. The guy used to run at least a mile every day on the beach, and barefoot. And he was like, well, that's not impressive. And I was like, he was 300 pounds, and he ran a mile every day. What are we talking about?
Also, Bruce Randall.
Yeah.
He was pretty big.
He kept saying that, and he was like, a mile isn't a big deal. And I was like, what? If you could run a mile quickly on the sand, like, what are we talking about? When the fuck are you ever going to have to run further than that? There have been many more times that I've had to move a refrigerator by myself than I've ever had to run anywhere, like, other than across the street. So I just, like, I was baffled by it because, I mean, he was arguing against getting big and strong, and it was like, I'm just, there's absolutely nothing to support your supposition at all.
Yeah, let alone, some of the things in life that can happen, I mean, outside of the gym, of course, because that's where a lot of the benefits, believe it or not, take place. So one of the things that can happen out of the gym is you get in a car wreck, right? It happens every fucking day.
I flipped my car, no seatbelt on, and I flipped end over end. And I didn't roll it. And I wasn't wearing my seatbelt, and I walked out of that fucking thing. I mean, my head was swollen up like a watermelon, but I walked out of it and then got into several fights because people tried to rob me as I was crawling out of my flaming car. So, like...
All right, Mad Max. Damn.
Most people should be dead from that. And, like, Flex Wheeler should have been dead, but, like, somehow his huge traps, counteracted his tiny neck, and he managed to live through his. So...
That's what I was kind of getting across, even if you get stabbed, let's just kind of bring out the doomsday scenario. Like, you're in the UK, guns are outlawed, and you get stabbed, right? Like,
bang, kitchen knives.
Oh my god. Yeah, so you get fucking stabbed. Well, guess what muscle's going to do? It's going to stop so much force from being delivered, first of all, right? Also, it's going to help you survive that stabbing. Hold on, I got an unruly dog. You talk, Jamie.
Okay. Well, I agree with what you were just saying, and I don't really see a scenario because he was arguing that once you get too big, you're going to be unhealthy, and sumo wrestlers are considerably healthier in terms of their blood lipids and everything like that than are like your average person or like Western bodybuilders. So.
That's something we can also kind of cover because we had a conversation about that. Like, sumo wrestlers don't give a fuck. If they get too big, if they get in too bad a shape to compete, they just stop.
Yeah.
But I think one of the major issues that he was speaking of is like body fat, right? Because we do know that's inherently bad. Excessive amounts of body fat is inherently bad. Obesity brings certain issues with it. But muscularity-wise, you're only going to benefit from it. And I think that's something the old school guys got, and the new school guys are getting into their heads, because a lot of information has changed. A lot of information has been learned. Look at all the NFL players now getting less and less injured because they're bigger.
But by the same token, you see all these kids on the internet getting skinnier and skinnier because they're obsessed with their fucking whatever that stupid line is with your abs into your dick.
Hell yeah, V.
What's that? Yeah, they're
your
obsessed
vagina.
with that. And I'll just say I found a study. I'll post it in the comments. I actually put it in our email that went out this week. I don't know if you saw it.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a survey of women giving their opinion on guys' physiques, and they definitely like thicker, bigger guys as opposed to they preferred. He looked like Razor Ramon from pro wrestling. He was Scott Hall. He was a big but kind of puffy guy. They vastly prefer that look over Frank Zane, but they prefer But then I guess they prefer Brad Pitt. If they don't lift, they prefer Brad Pitt over the beefier guy. If they do lift, they prefer the beefier guy. So, you're just doing yourself a disservice by being a skinny little bitch, basically. Yeah. And also, you will never be able to move a fucking refrigerator by yourself. I mean, I've done it, but I didn't do the... There was a pro... Alexander Karelin was a wrestler for the Russians. He was basically the Ivan Drago of wrestling. And long after he retired, somebody was trying to do an interview with him, and he was like, yeah, wait, I got to help my neighbor move this refrigerator. He picked it up and carried it up 3 flights of stairs by himself. a full-size refrigerator.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to be able to do that?
And, you know, I actually had a situation that I went through lifting a couch. You know?
Oh, my God. Are you going to tell us about how you threw the couch down the street again?
Oh,
you
my
picked
God.
it up over your head. I moved a city bus once. You lifted a city bus once.
Okay, you have me beat, sir.
Now,
but this...
your story sounds a bit preposterous.
No, it was a lazy boy couch. It weighs about 400 pounds.
And you picked it up over your head?
Yes.
So what technique did you use to hoist 400 pounds over your head? Because you need to be in a strongman competition immediately.
The get it up technique?
Yeah, you just cleaned it. You just grabbed it by the base and cleaned it up to your chest. And then you push-jerked it up over your head. And then how far did you throw it?
We will be right back to answer that. Hold on just a second, guys.
I'm breaking your balls.
Okay, and we're back. My dog was being a dick. He's a rescue dog, but that doesn't mean I won't kick him out. But yeah, I threw the couch 7,000 feet.
All right, nice.
Yeah, that's totally true. No, it needed to be moved. My wife and my daughter were the only people around to help, so I just decided to do it. And I mean, you know, all that has to do, I mean, all that, the credit is due to the training that I do. Like, it's, you know, that sort of shit. I mean, I probably saved my wife's back. I probably, you know, my daughter really couldn't help. She weighs like 100 pounds soaking wet. You know, when it comes down to it, it's like, whatever, you know, I was at that point, the one time in my life where I was the damn man. Fucking picked up that couch. Very proud of myself. Probably way too proud. But that's the sort of shit that people should be chasing. That, you know, taking care of business stuff.
Exactly. And that also speaks to the point that any strength that you build is, in and of itself, functional. So don't ever get snowed by all this bullshit about functional strength. Yeah, it's fun to flip a tire. But that's a way to do weighted cardio. It is not functional strength.
Well, you know, everything that you do when it comes to in the gym can be functional if you think about it. I mean, every little bit that you build up your cardiovascular system, every little bit of strength that you build, it will transfer over to you needing to help somebody move furniture or do your job better if you work a physical job, or make it so that when you're old, you don't fall and break a hip. Like, that's what I'm concerned with. Like, fuck all the other things. You know, there's a large death rate when it comes to older people falling, breaking shit, laying in the backyard, help, I can't get up, like that sort of shit. That can be nixed later in life if you train now. You know, that's one of the many benefits of weightlifting that people kind of just glaze past. You know, they don't even give a shit, right? They don't even give a shit about their quality of life later. Like, that's the shit you should be concentrating on. And everyone wants to look good naked. And that's something the old school and the new school both have in common, right? Except for the new school's a little skinny, but hey, whatever.
They're either skinny or they go after... Oh, this whole dad bod thing is confusing and sad to me.
I don't get that either.
It's like people have set the bar so fucking low that, like, you can just step over it, basically.
Oh, come on, man.
Well, I'm just going to be a skinny bitch, or I'm going to be a fat guy. Like, what the fuck is... There are gradients in between there. You don't have to, like, just look like shit, no matter what. Men
have curves, too.
Oh, God.
But no, they just look like they have a beer belly. I don't know. That's not what I would want to look like. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not part of that crowd. I mean, something we can also go over too is, you know, this over concentration on mobility. What is with that, by the way?
It's just an excuse not to train. That's all it is.
Yeah. I mean, 45 minutes on the foam roller, 45 minutes fucking stretching, dynamic stretches, active stretches, weighted stretches, all this other shit. And by the time you actually get to training, you spend about 20 minutes under the bar, and then you get the fuck out of there. Like, what the fuck is that? Also, a lot of the new school guys just don't get the fact that, one of the ways in which you can improve yourself is getting stronger both mentally and physically. Because I don't know if you've ever felt this, but like getting under a heavy load and feeling like you're about to die and then actually accomplishing getting that thing up is fucking beautiful.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Yeah. So is there anything from the new school that you think we can learn?
Well, let's take a second and let's just so why don't you tell me, because you're a bodybuilding guy.
Okay.
I'm sure you follow some of the new bodybuilders, right?
A little bit of them, yeah. I mean,
do you have a particular favorite?
Oh shit. I really like Phil Heath. I know that's kind of stereotypical to say, but
that's fine. So Phil Heath, as I understand it, I mean, I've seen videos of Phil Heath lift. He seems pretty strong. He doesn't seem to exert himself much. What's Phil Heath's typical, I don't know, back routine?
Well, he's working with a trainer that has a couple of things that I don't agree with. Henny Rambod.
He does FST, whatever?
Yeah. But so basically, I know it's a modified version of it too. So probably modified by Phil Heath for Phil Heath, right? He does heavy compound movements, and then he does a few isolation movements, right? So if he has a back day, it's either bent over rows, pull-ups, or like heavy machine rows or something like that, right? Once he's getting closer to competition, he relies more on machines. Now, he actually had a car wreck that fucked up his lower back for basically the majority of his life, right? And it was right before he won his first bodybuilding show. And because of that, he doesn't deadlift, right? He does other things. So, which is kind of surprising because the dude has an awesome back. But his typical workout is body part splits. So back day, arms day, chest day, leg day, and so forth. So, I don't know, man. He does train heavy. I know that. But, I don't know. He isn't as much of a pussy as some of the guys. So, I like him. So he does each body part once a week? Yeah, I think so. I don't watch much of his stuff. I don't follow much of anybody, honestly.
I don't understand why anybody wants to watch anybody do anything. Like, I don't want to watch somebody work out. I don't understand the impulse. It makes no fucking sense to me. Like,
I would be more interested in someone's training if they did it like in the old muscle magazines where it was like, this is what this guy does, all on a piece of paper.
Exactly. That's what I was just getting at. Like, I like reading about it. I like knowing how they trained. I like all that. Because, so Tim Belknap, I don't know if you've ever heard of him. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
He was a Mr. Universe. I don't think he probably placed in the top 3 at the Olympia once or twice, but he never really he didn't win the Olympia, obviously. He was 5'4", and I think he was a giant killer. So he was 5'4", and I'm gonna see if I can find out what he weighed. So he was 245.
Yeah.
He was fucking huge. But this was in the 80s, so he probably that was probably his off-season weight. I can't imagine he competed at that. But I know he was benching. He benched 505 for 6. He squatted 675 for 10. And he would do each body part 2 to 3 times a week. When he was doing competition training, he trained 5 to 6 days a week, twice a day, and he dieted on 900 calories a day.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, this guy was a
That scares
fucking
me.
maniac. He basically just ate eggs, chicken, and cheese like every 3.5 hours.
That actually doesn't sound bad, but I mean, that's along my taste. So,
yeah, he was.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think guys back in the day trained way harder. They didn't have,
Definitely.
and I mean, I don't want to chalk it up to just drugs, but I don't know any other way to say it other than, yeah, the guys were on gear back in the day, but Tim Belknap, he was prior to the GH thing. He was prior to insulin. He was prior to a lot of this shit. And so they actually had to train fucking hard. And I think people back in the day trained hard, and they had a different look to their physiques because their physiques belied all this hard training.
Yeah, just like Dorian Yates had this grainy look about him. We're missing that, aren't we, a little bit?
Yeah, they look... Well, I mean, it's the synthol. They look puffy.
Well, it's not only that. A lot of the new stuff that they're using, too, has just insane amount of water retention as a side effect, right? And then they abuse the fuck out of diuretics. And then they basically rehydrate in a weird way. So that's what gives them that puffy look, if that makes sense. So, but they have low body fat. I mean, they have like that trash bag skin, you know, that grocery store bag, like paper thin skin, right? They just look puffy.
Yeah, and I mean, Tim Belknap had cross-strided thighs, but
Right.
his thighs had a different, because he squatted so heavy, his thighs had a completely different look than the guys now. You'll see guys now, like, because they don't squat heavy, and because they don't train heavy, they've got very, very large upper thighs, and they kind of taper gradually into their knees. Have you noticed that?
I have. I don't know exactly what causes that, though.
Whereas the guys in the 80s who squatted heavy, like, their knees just like their knee looked like it was just kind of like their leg was cut off underneath the sweep of their quad and their teardrop, and just like a post was jammed in there, and then a post with like a ham hock on the underside of it, like, because their calves were all fucking huge. And so it was like they actually, like, their physiques belied that hard work, and I think that's the main difference. I mean, you look at my training style, and it's far more like the guys in the 70s and 80s than it is like the guys in the 2000s, because the guys in the 2000s don't fucking train hard, and that's yet one of the many reasons why I don't write about them. They're also terribly uninteresting.
My training is kind of the same way, too, because I'm also a big fan of frequency. I absolutely fucking love training rear delts, like 2 to 4 times a week, right? I love training biceps 2 to 4 times a week. There are certain muscle groups that I think respond better to more frequency, which is also another thing that the new school guys are afraid of, frequency.
I don't think they're afraid of it. I think they're just lazy.
I don't know, man. Everybody's so afraid of overtraining.
Like, you watched that Generation Iron with, what the fuck is that Dutch guy's name?
Callum von Moger?
Huh?
Callum?
No. Not that, the ambiguously brown guy who's got a very, very square head, who has, like, the grandma that follows him around.
Oh, Rolly Winkler.
Yeah. I mean, that guy should win everything all the time. He's got a great-looking physique. But even his fucking trainers, like, he's just fucking lazy. He's lazy as shit.
Yeah. Well, I don't exactly know the cure for that.
Stop being fucking lazy?
That is true. Yeah. But our lifestyles nowadays kind of attribute to that, too. How many people do you know still with a physical job?
I know a lot, but, I mean, for some reason, even though I have a lot of degrees, I tend to identify better with people with blue-collar jobs. They just happen to be people with blue-collar jobs who read a lot. So, Yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't know, man.
And those guys aren't afraid of hard work, but
That's true.
by the same token, the guys in the trades seem to have a really fucking hard time with good diet. Because guys in the trades eat like shit. They all go to the AMPM or the Circle K or whatever and get nothing but honey buns and sodas for the day. And like basically they just survive on sugar and drunkenness. So like
I think that's something we need to bring back is like meal prep. You know, even something as simple as making something, putting it in a Tupperware, and then bringing it to work with you. I mean, you can make like a chicken salad or something like that to bring with you, have a couple tortillas with that bitch, and you've got a fucking meal, you know? Whereas going to Circle K or whatever and having this convenience food is something that I think destroys a lot of people's physiques. Especially if they feel like convenience food is the only food for them because they are just quote-unquote too busy, which is a bullshit excuse again. But I don't know. What are your opinions on that?
I don't think that meal prep is necessarily like the end-all be-all. I lived on Chipotle for several years. It was just I would just get chicken and rice, and because I knew the managers, they would always hook me up. And so 3 times a day I'd get that, and then I'd do 3 shakes a day.
Yeah, but you also made smarter choices too.
Well, yeah. So that's where I was going with it. I don't think meal prep is the issue so much as knowing what you need to eat and eating it. And I mean that's it. Like, do I sometimes just want to eat? I don't know, a fucking DQ Blizzard? Yes. What do I do before that? Eat a double hamburger. Eat a triple hamburger. Eat like a 20-piece nuggets. I always get my protein first.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, that's what you got to do. And so I'm flipping through this Gold's Gym book and looking at the guys who were grainy as shit. And they were all like pre everything that, like diuretics and all that shit.
Right.
And there's this one guy, Clint Barrel. Oh, and by the way, Tim Belknap used to compete at about 200. So he would cut between 30 and 40 pounds in 9 weeks.
Yeah.
But this guy, Clint Barrel, who was vascular as fuck. Like, he basically looks like a road map. And he trained 2.5 hours a day, 6 days a week. He had a 3-day, he had a double split routine where it was 3 days of chest, shoulders, and tris, and 3 days of legs, back, and bis, and then did abs every day. And, everybody out there would be like, oh, well, I bet he was fucking weak. He would, he weighed around 215 pounds, and he was benching 430 for a double for 8 sets.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, it makes sense. He put himself under constant. I mean, that's what being strong is all about. By the way, is just constant stressors that your body says, "Oh, I need to adapt to that. Holy shit, it's coming again pretty soon. So maybe I should get stronger so it's a little bit easier." You know, I mean, that's what it really is. People overcomplicate that, especially nowadays. And I also wanted to know your thoughts on. I know we went over this a little bit, but diet. New school versus old school. I mean, I think there's things to be learned from the old school way. Like eating as much as you can to bulk.
Yeah, absolutely. But I am just sick to fucking death of people treating diets like they're, 1, life-changing, and 2, a religion. And they treat workouts that way, too. You hear about people screaming about people jumping, program jumping and shit like that. And they do the same thing about dieting. It's nonsense what people are doing with training and diet. They act like it's some kind of, like, it's going to reveal the meaning of life, and it's just fucking lifting weights. And, like, the old school way of lifting, of eating, which was, you bulk hard and then cut hard, it worked. And, I mean, I don't know what else to say. Basically, like, the easiest way to describe how you can get real big and lean is to eat all of the shit and make meat the mainstay of all of your meals. And then when you want to get lean, cut out all the shit that isn't made of meat or like vegetables. And that's it. You can call it paleo, you can call it keto, you can call it whatever the fuck you want to call it. Just don't eat carbs.
You're saying you don't want to cut 10 pounds over 6 months?
Oh my god, what the fuck is the point of that?
Oh man, it's just people fucking worried about muscle loss. Which, by the way, guys, if you're fucking worried about muscle loss, it's fucking temporary.
If you're worried about muscle loss, you're not eating enough fucking protein anyway.
Also, even if you do fucking lose muscle, because if you cut like 40 pounds, 50 pounds, you're going to lose a little bit of what's... I mean, it's just aesthetically, like, lost, right? It's not like your body says, oh my god, fucking, it's gone forever. No. It's fucking, you'll get it back. Don't fucking worry about it. Same thing with strength loss. Just fucking get through the diet, stop being a little bitch, and fucking get on to the next thing. Like, eat for your goals. That should be your fucking diet. Eat for your goals. You want to bulk? Okay, eat to bulk. You want to diet? Okay, eat to diet. There's no fucking reason you need to hop on if it fits your macros, or you don't need to label it. It's just, this is my goal, this is what I'm going to do, right? This is how to do it. Like, yeah,
and we don't give a shit if you're on hour 48 of your new whatever the fuck it is. And if you feel like a new person, keep it to yourself. Yeah. Just keep it to yourself. You know what, we'll care about it in 6 weeks when you actually don't look like a fat ass anymore, or like when you have a new vein on your ab you want to show off or something. But, you know, like, I'm 2 weeks in and I never felt that. Nobody fucking cares at all. Nobody. That's not just a person. Your mom doesn't even care.
That's your fucking obligatory fucking Instagram post is what that fucking is.
Nobody
gives a shit.
It is goddamn sickening. And if you like that shit, guess what? Liking a chick's picture, not going to get you laid. So, and if you're liking some other guy's picture for posting that shit, you're just a fucking retard, and all you're doing is perpetuating all this bullshit.
Also, that may get you laid. Guys aren't really picky. But,
yeah.
You know, the point of it is when it comes to diet, meat and veggies, or meat and, I don't know, meat and potatoes, where did that go? That's something that people just kind of gave up a long time ago.
God damn it, it works so well. It works so well.
People are so afraid of it, though. And what is with this good food, bad food bullshit, too? Like, I know there's some food that does absolutely nothing for you, but, like, when you're dieting, cut out the bullshit, like Jamie said. And when you're not dieting, fucking go off the walls. Like, actually bulk. Actually put an appreciable...
It's not necessarily off the walls, especially like because people seem to be chasing diabetes like it is some lofty goal.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
With the baked goods, like, settle the fuck down. You're not 4 years old anymore. You know, it's just like you don't need a goddamn donut. Even when you're bulking. I mean, my training partner in college, his post-workworkout thing was he would eat a dozen-pounder mini donuts every day after working out. If you want that to do, and he would drink a half gallon of milk.
Yeah.
That is a very reasonable way to get your bullshit in and get your protein in. He was making it useful. But,
right.
Oh, God. We don't need to get into donuts and deadlifts again. It drives me up the goddamn wall.
He also earned it, though. That's what, I mean...
Yeah, because he and I would be in the gym for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah, if you really want a massive amount of food and just all the bullshit in the world, fucking earn it. Don't sit there and say, well, it's my rest day, I need to recover, so I'm going to have a dozen donuts this morning. No. Bad. Stop. It'll be okay. But man, it fucking frustrates me because there's this I'm gonna hop on a diet need for like a label sort of thing, and it just leads to nowhere.
Yeah, because I just want a bunch of people to like gently rub my dick through my pants over the internet.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But one thing I will recommend for the people out there, if you don't already own it, you don't actually lift weights for shit. If you don't own the Arnold Schwarzenegger book of bodybuilding or the Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding, you literally, you don't exist. You're not a person.
Everybody should pick it up.
Everybody should own that book. I have a leather-bound version. And also a great resource, especially if you want some old school bodybuilding, and you can get it for like $3 on Amazon. The Gold's Gym Book of Bodybuilding. I used to read this. I had this thing in high school. I have read this book back to front a million times, and I'll find new shit in it all the time to try. So, I mean, you'll get crazy fucking workouts in there. And you'll read about people you'd never heard of before that you kind of wish you had because they were just monsters. And, like, there was a guy who never went pro back in the day, but he was just a crazy-ass bodybuilder. His name was Bronson Austin Jr. And, like, he was just shredded and thick as hell. He was a powerlifter before he was a bodybuilder, and he had great lifts, and he had a great build, and he had a master's in education, and he just like gave up bodybuilding to be a teacher. But I mean, you get crazy routines from these people, and it gives you some new shit to try. So, yeah.
Well,
look.
Go ahead.
I mean, I get accused of jacking my dick to the old school guys way too much on Reddit, the geniuses on Reddit. But I do it because their routines are varied and interesting. The people were actually strong, and they knew what the fuck they were talking about. And also, like, they weren't named George Lehman and, like, running around jacking their dicks to, like, underage people from Thailand and Donald Trump all at the same time. Like, you could actually read this shit and be like, that's a person I'd kind of like to hang out with, other than half the internet celebrities. So
yeah. So let's work on wrapping things up because I got some stuff to do today. So old school wise, we should take away the diet philosophies, the training philosophies. Don't be afraid to try something new. Intensity multipliers are something everybody should be incorporating if you haven't already. And don't be a little bitch and cut and bulk for like 6 months.
And
like
train your goddamn arms.
Yeah.
There isn't a human being on earth that doesn't respect a person with good-looking arms. It's built into our DNA, and somehow the internet's gotten away from thinking that, but it's true.
Also, forearms.
Yeah, I've actually, so I've got this PDF up because I just was like looking for a different picture. I was trying to find Bronson Austin's like full routine, and I couldn't find it. But there's some guy, Gunnar Rospo, he was from Norway, and his forearms are fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. And
his forearms are as big as his upper arms. It's nuts.
There's also a fuck ton of people without triceps nowadays, too. I don't know how the fuck that happens. And it looks bad. It looks real bad. I mean, when you see a guy where his when you see his arm from the side and his tricep almost like peeks out in a little triangle from the side of his arm, that's I immediately am like, that guy has awesome arms. I don't even notice his biceps because I see his fucking tricep from when I'm looking directly at his bicep from the front. And I'm like, I don't even know how I can see his tricep from behind his bicep, but that's awesome. Like, train your triceps. And you can add triceps in after every single day of working out. Yeah, they recover extremely quickly.
Yeah, your arms just like to grow.
So what are some of the things we can actually take from the new school guys?
Machines are not the enemy. I'll give them that.
I like that. Okay.
You can get it. You can get some really good volume in on machines, and I'm not going to say it saves your joints and it saves this and it saves that. You can just get in you can actually get in a good workout on machines. Like, you can get good work done. So I will say that.
Other than that, what's up? What can we take away?
You're more the new school guy than I am. I'm trying to come up with something. I mean, you look at the 90s bodybuilders. I mean, I learned a lot by reading about Dorian Yates training. That really impressed upon me the need for heavy rowing, which not a lot of the old school bodybuilders did. They really didn't do a lot of heavy rowing, which is, I think, a lot of the reason why Lee Haney's physique against Dorian Yates' physique looked so different, because Lee Haney was kind of the last of the old guard, you know?
Something I like about the new guys that it's coming back around is the emphasis on kind of a hybrid training approach. So I know specificity basically leads to better results, but something that happens that a lot of guys tend to neglect is their general physical, I don't know, some people just have shitty cardiovascular systems. They're big, but they can't fucking walk upstairs without wheezing, right? And I know a lot of that has to do with drugs, but you have all these guys who are bodybuilders and stuff like that doing, jumps, and they're doing, sprints, and they're doing sled pulls. I really, really like sled work.
Are they really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So a lot of the
guys, old school guys were into sprints, and I'm starting to work them back into my routine. Although it's hard because I often forget to take my wallet out of my pocket, and my wallet chain's whacking the shit out of me as I'm trying to run, and I'm like, then I don't know where to put my wallet.
Yes, so. I'm not the only one who has a wallet with a chain on it. Yes,
no, I've been rocking this motherfucker for years.
I'm the same way. But that's something that I think that we can learn from the new guys is like, don't be afraid to throw in some non-specific training into your training. There's been a resurgence in like boxing too, hitting the old heavy bag, great, nice. Great physical, great for your physical health, right? Also, I kind of like the new school way of just. A lot of the new school training methods, when it comes to a lot of the chasing that pump, that gnarly, nasty pump, right? Now, not many new guys do that, but a lot of new guys are starting to, especially with like the blood flow restriction training and stuff like that. I'm a big fan of chasing the pump, and something that I think that the early 2000s and the 90s kind of lost out on because everybody was chasing Ronnie Coleman and everybody was chasing Dorian Yates, so they wanted to lift heavier and they forgot that, Arnold back in the day, it's one of those things that came back around, just like keto's coming back around, So that's kind of something that I think we can learn from the new school guys, is chase that pump.
Well, that's something you can learn from the old school guys too. You're kind of just ignoring the 90s. Well, actually, even in the 90s, like look at guys like Mike Matarazzo and stuff like that, who had huge calves and forearms, and he was huge on pump training. He had a giant neck too.
Some people like Lee Priest, he actually did like he did triples, right, on incline press. Like that was his thing. He was big into heavy training, and people just kind of lost the pump, and now it's coming back, and that makes me very happy. In this episode, something that everybody should learn is training really, when you look at the specifics of it, really hasn't changed much.
Nope. It's just that people have gotten lazier.
Right. So if you can just kick yourself out of that, and you can actually put forth an effort to be the best you that you can be, which is something also that people are just completely fucking done with, right? They don't want to improve. It's almost like they fight improvement.
Yeah.
And it pisses me off. But also, drop some of the mobility shit. That's one of the things I don't like about the new school.
You're just wasting your time.
Yeah. I mean, if you... Go ahead.
I mean, if you're having trouble moving around in your daily life, you have got issues that aren't lifting related. You have somehow managed to be immobile in your non-lifting time to the point that you fucked yourself up. In which case, you should go out and play sports. You should not be fucking around with a goddamn rumble roller.
Yeah. I mean, like, a quick way that you can do that too is go to your local YMCA or something and go play basketball.
Oh my God! How many times have you heard somebody say, "Well, I don't want to do that because I might injure myself and I won't be able to lift"? Motherfucker, you suck at lifting anyway. Like, the guys back in the day used to play sports. Gold's Gym had a competitive tug of war team for the longest time. they would pick up football games on the beach and shit at Gold's Gym. You probably would stand to benefit from like playing a sport. I used to do I was in a dodgeball league for years. I used to wrestle on the side, do MMA shit. I was never worried about injuring myself for the gym. It was just something else to do.
Yeah.
Because as humans, we're supposed to actively play. We're not just supposed to sit on our fucking asses.
That's something that you'll find across all species of mammal, too. Like, if you go to a dog or a cat and you start playing with it, like, you make some gestures of, like, lunging at it and stuff like that in a playful manner, they will play, you know?
Yeah.
And people forget the fact that we're supposed to be active. We're not supposed to sit at our computer desk like I'm doing right now and fucking talk to somebody for 2 hours and just do that all day, right? We're supposed to be up. We're supposed to be outside. We're supposed to be... I mean, for fuck's sake. I got a dog. I take him for walks. I'm doing 3 walks a day now with him. And it feels fucking good. Being out in the sun, too. Something people just don't do anymore. People need more sun exposure. So, even though it's hot as hell outside. I think the big takeaway from this episode is don't be a pussy.
Yeah.
So, and for the last time in this episode, with that being said, we will see you guys in the next one.
Well, I don't know if we'll see them, but they will hear us at least.
They will hear us, although seeing us will be coming soon.
Yes.
All right.
Dylan! You son of a bitch!
Too many thoughts on my mind, I can't sleep at night, so I just keep writing. I don't need no help, I don't need opinions, so don't waste my time then. I just been living online, my city don't show me no love and that's fine. Fuck local radio stations, I got more plays than all of these rappers combined. I'm going again, I've been going in, I'm fed up with so many things. I gotta just let it all out, I'm talking about the shit they've been talking about. Telling me I should do this, telling me I should do that. Telling me things about rap. Talking the truth and that stab in my back, they will knock me off track, no. Too many things have been building, been hard to deal with, I just been drinking. Remember my moves in the past, I'm wondering what was I thinking. Lately I'm living in fear, wondering what if the end is so near. All of this shit going on, the shootings are strong. One shot to the head and I'm gone. I'm losing control but I can't let it go, cause I'm trying to get more. And I've been in the moment, I've been in the zone, and I'm moving alone. I don't pick up the phone when my family call, I've been doing it wrong and I don't know what's happening. Trying to get what I just been imagining, getting close and I just been examining all of the fake shit the game has been packaging. I've been keeping it real,